It's that time again, everybody. August 19th. Been a little over 2 months since I did this before, and I've been sitting on this pile of stuff for quite a while. I wanted to do this last week, but I've been dealing with allergies and work and a lot. It's been a very, very, very busy, productive time lately. So thankfully all is going well. We're making some very good leeway on some projects in life. But that's all discussion for another time. Let's get into this. This does not include anything that I purchased at Flashback Weekend a couple weekends ago. This is everything before that, because none of the stuff I got there I even got a chance to watch yet. So this is pretty much my summer update. This is everything I got and watched from May through now. So there we go. We got 2 VHS tapes I got used for like $1 each. I've heard about this one for a while, Brain Smasher: A Love Story with Andrew Dice Clay. Ford Fairlane, it's not. Yeah, I'm not really sure how high or low of a reputation this has. It got a few laughs out of me, but I thought this should have been a lot funnier and funner to watch than what it actually turned out being. Like Andrew Dice Clay going up against ninjas and stuff, that could be pretty fun, but it was okay. That's all I'll describe. Like I said, I don't know what kind of reputation this one has. Never got a DVD release, so I burned this onto a DVD-R. But Brain Smasher is the hippest action comedy ever made. That's what the back says. I don't know if I would listen to that one. And then anyone who follows my updates, you've seen that for the past pretty much year, all of this since February, I've marathoned and I've gone through the entirety of the James Bond series that I had not yet seen, several of which are going to be in this one. And so I found this for $1, figured I'd pick it up, The James Bond Story, which is just a 52-minute documentary all about the different Bonds and the portrayals of them and how each movie led to each subsequent one. It goes all into Sean Connery, George Lazenby. Sorry, On Her Majesty's Secret Service fans, but I hate that movie because George Lazenby cannot act his way out of a paper bag. But then you get Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, the most underrated. I'll never understand why Timothy Dalton gets so much shit. And obviously this was made up to Pierce Brosnan. This came out right before The World Is Not Enough was coming out, so that's kind of the movie they're previewing in this book. Nice little look at the series. And from there we go to the Daniel Craig Bond collection, 2 months before No Time to Die comes out in October. I know a lot of people hate Daniel Craig and these Bond movies, and I'll admit I went into the first one, Casino Royale, with such low expectations, and I was completely blown away. With the exception of Quantum of Solace, which because of the writer's strike and all that bullshit, Quantum of Solace, not that good. But the other 3 are, especially Casino Royale and Skyfall. If you're a Daniel Craig fan, everyone loves Skyfall. And for good reason. Skyfall is amazing. And it's emotional. I know some people didn't like seeing Bonds like childhood, home, and all of that. I didn't have a problem with it. We're 4-5 decades into the character. Gotta do something with it. And Casino Royale, a lot of the construction site chase, the airport car chase, all the way up to the heartbreaking ending. Casino Royale is awesome. Skyfall is amazing. I enjoyed Spectre for what it was. I know a lot of people don't like Spectre, but to me it beat the shit out of Quantum of Solace, so I'm excited for No Time to Die. I think Daniel Craig is a fantastic Bond. I know some of my friends are pulling their hair out listening to me say that, but it's true. I went in with lower expectations in all 4 of these. 3 of them. I did not really care for Quantum of Solace, but I don't think anybody really does with that one. So yeah, Daniel Craig. And keeping Daniel Craig in the mix here, I never heard of this film before, which apparently that's a good thing, because when this came out, I guess the trailer spoiled the entire twist, and so the movie was ruined in the trailer. Which thankfully, I never saw the trailer, at least not knowingly, back then when this came out, and so I never heard of this film, so I went in blind. I didn't know what to expect, and I know apparently the final version of what we got is completely different from what the director, writer, and the cast, so Daniel Craig, the director, they all disown this movie. None of them did promo for it. And that's a shame, because granted, I don't know what the original version of this was like, but for what it is, I actually like this one, Dreamhouse. I went into it blind, I didn't know the twist or anything, even though I kind of guessed, like, before the twist happened, I was like, I wonder if we're going to go here. And sure enough, we did. But it's a nice little, it's, you know, kind of haunted house, but not really. It's much more of a psychological thriller. It kind of reminded me of the Lazarus Project with Paul Walker, which that's another one that got hated on, and I actually liked that one. But Dreamhouse, I thought, you know, I was captivated by the story. Daniel Craig gives one hell of an acting performance in this, you know, even more so, you know, versatile than Bond. Rachel Weisz, Naomi Watts, Elias Koteas in kind of an interesting role. I like this one, and the ending, like, I started getting teared up at the ending. Like, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's unfamiliar, but like, there's a final, I want to say, confrontation or meeting between a few characters at the end, and I was starting to get kind of choked up. I was like, oh, this movie is actually hitting me in the heartstrings. So I walked away from this. I was like, I really like Dreamhouse. So, but then again, that's because I had the benefit of going in blind, not knowing the spoiler. It's just a shame the cast hated it. So if I thought that was that good, you know, imagine what the original version was like. But as it is, I liked it. I might get some flack over this one, though. So this came out earlier this year, Nobody. It was entertaining. I had fun watching it, you know, it got some laughs out of me and everything, but I can't say this is something that I plan on rewatching a lot, because I'm like, it was okay, like, from the writers of John Wick, so it's in kind of that serious kind of John Wick style, while still being kind of goofy, especially the scenes with Christopher Lloyd, which are probably the best parts of the movie, when Christopher Lloyd is there. As it stands, I just thought this one was alright. Like, the action's entertaining, but the way it's filmed, the way the lead guy acts, the way the script is just kind of... It's just kind of modern for it. Like I said, it was okay. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I didn't think it was like the action movie of the year that some others did. So, Nobody, to me, it was just okay. Like, I would have liked a bit more of a consistent tone, nature of it. It's okay. This doesn't need much introduction. It's a film I've had on VHS and DVD for as long as I can remember. Never got the Blu-ray, so what better way to get the 50th anniversary edition of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Fuck the Johnny Depp piece of shit. Forget that one. Yeah, so this is I don't have a 4K player. I don't really care about 4K. But, you know, obviously the Blu-ray and the digital code are both back with this, you know. I know for the 40th anniversary they put out that big, like, box set that came with, like, a book and, like, coloring sheets and stuff like that. I never gave any attention to that, but what can you say about this? It's the only movie I can think of that functions so well as a kid's fanciful adventure and a super dark adult fairy tale slasher film. Like, seriously, you watch this as an adult and you just monitor Gene Wilder and his portrayal as Wonka and some of the things he says and does. This is such a dark, grim movie while still being really witty and funny, but yet also functions perfectly as, like, this whimsical adventure for kids. So, like, what else can you say about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? That's one of my all-time favorites. I mean, you can't lie. And then to complete, as you know, every update, I collect Paul Walker films and Gary Busey films. Those are two subgenres of my collection where I'm always getting those two actors. And so I went with this early Denise Richards, Paul Walker, Terry Kaiser, John Franklin. There's a bunch of people in this. Tammy and the TRex. This is not a good movie at all. This is really, really fucking stupid. It's cheesy and corny as all hell. The effects, the uneven tone of being like this slasher revenge, like, kids movie. the kind of the gay black character that is just completely over the top. The ending with Denise Richards that serves zero purpose. I was entertained watching this, but it's not good. I can't recommend it. It's so stupid. But yeah, Tammy and the TRex. If you're watching this channel, you've probably got a familiarity with most of these already, so I don't know how much I even really need to say about that one. A movie I've always really liked, The Wraith, finally coming to Blu-ray from the Vestron Collector's Series. You know, tons of extras from one of the old DVDs, this amazing soundtrack, a really fun assortment in the cast. And this is one of the only movies I could say where the script is absolutely terrible and makes no sense whatsoever, but I still really love the movie. Maybe it just takes me back to freshman year of high school in the spring when I saw this, and just the soundtrack and all the cars, and I mean even Billy Idol has Rebel Yell is in this movie, so hey. But yeah, The Wraith, I've always loved it. I've always had a huge soft spot for it. Cars, ghosts, action, 80s rock. It's got it all for you. The Wraith. Definitely pick up that new Blu-ray if you're a fan. Up the Creek, wonderful comedy with Tim Matheson and Stephen Furst. I always love these kinds of, and this is one I've been wanting to get for a while. You know, this is an 80s, you know, cult comedy, fantastic. Another, you know, great soundtrack. I love these team kind of oriented movies. Like, speaking of Stephen Furst, you know, something like Midnight Madness, you know, Up the Creek. I've always loved these types of just kind of competitive sport, group, team kind of comedies, and this one, it reminds, basically what Up the Creek is. This is the wild 80s comedy version of Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown. Which, if anyone's familiar with that, I've had the VHS of that one since I was, you know, like 3. That's the one where Charlie Brown and the gang, they go to summer camp and get in a river rafting race. That's basically what this is. This is the wild 80s comedy version of Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, and it's pretty amazing. I always like Tim Matheson. Stephen Furst is always a lot of fun, and even though here he's just kind of playing the token fat kid, but hilarious movie. Lots of hijinks, lots of fun. Now this one I'm going to lose a lot of subscribers over because I did not. This has been completely praised to high hell. Everyone loves it. Literally everyone loves this thing. Maybe I'm just so batshit tired of the nostalgia trend. Like, I watched the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix. I thought all 3 of those were complete pieces of shit. Like, I got nothing nice to say about any of those 3. And this came out in like 2018, I want to say, somewhere around there. From the directors of Turbo Kid, another retro throwback. Summer of '84. I just thought this was derivative, uninspired shit. Like, it tries to be like a Rear Window, Disturbia type plot, mixed with totally under the Stranger Things vibe. The entire score is, you know, you get your token stock characters, and then you get in, you know, the biggest, like, fuck you ending ever that is so dark and grim, so abruptly out of nowhere. Like, it doesn't even work. It doesn't work for the rest of the film. Like, everything about this movie just did not work. Like, it was derivative, it was lame, it was pretty slow, it's longer than it needs to be, it's got a shitty ending that has no relevance with the rest of the movie. Yeah, I thought this one sucked, guys. I'm probably losing subscribers over that right now, but... Then back to the Vinegar Syndrome stuff, we've got Surf 2, which contains 2 different versions of the movie. This never-before-seen director's cut, which is the version I watched first, and then the theatrical version, which... Stick with the director's cut. It's much better, flows. Stick with the director's cut. It's, you know, your typical Airplane level bonkers screwball parody movie. Like it says right here, Surf 2, the end of the trilogy. That says everything you need to know right there. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, you get Eddie Deason playing a supervillain. And it's another movie that has Terry Kaiser in it, who he is just awesome. Even when his movies aren't that good, Terry Kaiser's always good. Yeah, I dug the hell out of this. It was so stupid and goofy, I loved it. And it's got one of my favorite songs, Talk Talk, by Talk Talk, in the end credits of the director's cut. Theatrical version didn't have that song for some reason, so I don't know. And Vinegar Syndrome did an awesome job with this release, all the bonus features, you know, artwork, you know, everything. So, I recommend, if you like the silly screwball movies, you want to see Eddie Deason playing a supervillain, Surf 2 is for you. Last of the Blu-rays, a movie I never even heard of until I was walking around at Target, and I saw this sitting on the shelf, and I was like, what the hell is that? The very excellent Mr. Dundee. It's got tons and tons and tons and tons of celebrity cameos in there, both like the Crocodile Dundee series and just Hollywood in general. Wayne Knight, Chevy Chase, you know, they're all in there. It's a very meta movie where, you know, Paul Hogan, he's playing himself, and he's just pissing off the media and all of his fans after one unfortunate event after another. You know, it's not a great movie, but for what it is, just to see 80-year-old Paul Hogan doing something like this, and clearly him enjoying himself, you know, I enjoyed my time watching this. You know, it's not the best movie, it's not something I'm going to watch again, but it got chuckles out of me, and I'm like, this whole thing is just a giant middle finger at Hollywood and the elite. And I can get behind that, especially when it's 80-year-old Paul Hogan doing it. So, yeah, I never even heard of this. I bought it on a blind movie, and it was fun. You know, I liked it. Now, the remaining James Bond films we've come to the Pierce Brosnan era. And again, I'm going to lose subscribers, probably my opinions of all of these. I'm not showing Die Another Day here because fuck Die Another Day. For all intents and purposes, that film does not exist. So what we have here are GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, and The World Is Not Enough. Starting with the fan favorite, everyone says it's the best thing on the planet, GoldenEye. Outside of the amazing tank chase, I thought this was ridiculously overrated. I thought it was too silly. It felt like an Austin Powers movie at times, like Pierce Brosnan going upside down in the bathroom stall, or the henchwoman, getting a fucking orgasm every time she strangles someone. A forgettable villain, forgettable climax. I know you guys are pulling your hair out at me saying it, but maybe it's because I'm not brainwashed by the nostalgia of the N64 game. Sorry. But yeah, it's not my least favorite Bond movie or anything, but this gets my vote as #1 most overrated. Sorry. And that being said, we come to Tomorrow Never Dies, which is my #2 favorite Bond film of the whole franchise, behind For Your Eyes Only, which is my #1. This was a blast. Pierce Brosnan was so much more comfortable in the role. You have 10 times the villain you had in that one. His plot actually makes sense and is realistic in a world like this. The remote control car, Joe Don Baker's character, hey Jimbo! The ending, the summary, everything about this was awesome. And this movie gets so much shit from people compared to this one. I'm telling you right now, in my own humble Ken Pataki opinion, Tomorrow Never Dies is 1,000 times the Bond movie this overrated thing is. I was smiling the entire time watching this. I had a blast. It's my #2 favorite Bond movie of the entire series. The remote control car scene alone just gets this one. Love Tomorrow Never Dies. And even this one I thought was kind of underrated. The World Is Not Enough. The biggest problem I had with The World Is Not Enough is the main villain, Renard. He's a guy that is impervious to pain, and yet they don't do anything with it. Like, he has a fight at the end with James Bond where he's like groaning and bending over and stumbling at them. You have a villain who's literally invincible, and you underuse the hell out of him. That's my biggest problem with The World Is Not Enough. But outside of that, this one actually has some pretty fun set pieces. One of my favorite parts, you know, you get the helicopter with the scroll saws on it, and they destroy this factory, and the insurance company is never gonna believe this. And I like the villain, Sophie Marceau. I thought she was fine. Like, I actually didn't mind this one. Again, I'm gonna get so much shit for this, but would I put it above GoldenEye? Yes, I would. Like, outside of the tank chase, I did not really care for this one that much. This was fucking awesome, and then this was cool. Like, it seemed like they were trying to do an old school style Bond movie, and I liked it, you know? Sue me. Outside of, if they would have made Renard a better villain, that probably would be very high on my list. And Die Another Day doesn't exist. Freaky on the trend of, you know, doing, you know, like the Happy Death Day thing, like taking the surreal comedy premises and turning them into horror movies. This time with Vince Vaughn, who's a very middling actor. This was alright, you know, some parts of it, especially just Vince Vaughn, like, it comes off kind of cheesy, like him being this girl, and then the girl being the killer. Like, it's funny, it's entertaining, which is what it's meant to be. Again, not something I'm going to rewatch a million times, but I'll be curious to see what movies they do like that in the future. Like, you got Happy Death Day, you got Freaky, like, what's the next comedy they're going to switch into a horror movie? Now, this is an independent film I bought for $1 at the clearance section of my local place. Never heard of it before in my life. I tried Googling it, couldn't find a single piece of information about this anywhere. And it's a complete indie film from like 2005, set in the 70s and then in the 90s, called Finish Line, A Cruise Down Memory Lane. And I gotta tell you, for an indie movie that was made for clearly little to nothing, I thought this was endearing as hell. Like, typical plot where you have a guy who he's trying to make ends meet with a single mom after his dad was killed years ago in a racing accident, fixing up cars, and he wants to be a mechanic and a racer. And the production value of this is, you could tell they just went to different car shows and stuff. Like, hey, do you guys want to lend your cars to be in our movie and stuff like that? But something, you could tell their hearts were in this 100%. It was made for like no money, and making this look like the 70s, they did a million times better of a job than any other period piece I've talked about here, summer of '84. And, you know, I just love cars. You know, my dad and I are big car people, so just, again, that helped. And it even had a somewhat cheesy but emotional moment at the end I thought was endearing. So yeah, this was, I don't know where you can find this. This was in the $1 at my local, like, used place in the clearance bin. I tried looking this up online. I couldn't find it anywhere. There's www.finishlinemovie.com, which is now defunct. So I don't know where you could find this to see it, but for a blind watch, this was really endearing. Their hearts were in it, and I actually kind of enjoyed this. Like, definitely check it out, if you can find it. I had a ton of fun with this. Uncle Sam. Got Isaac Hayes going up against zombie Uncle Sam, who's killing people in Americana ways, including assassinating Abraham Lincoln and hanging people on a flagpole. This is my kind of movie. I laughed the entire way through it. I had fun. I enjoyed Uncle Sam. I've got an appointment a little bit, so I'm trying to go through this, make it quick. You know, the Hal Needham Cinematic Universe with Burt Reynolds grows with Hooper. Cool movie about an aging stuntman trying to, you know, finish off in his prime and pull off that one big final stunt with Jan Michael Vincent. It's a Hal Needham, Burt Reynolds movie. You know what you're getting. If you like Cannonball Run, Smokey and the Bandit, that whole subgenre, the Hal Needham Cinematic Universe, as I call it, you know what you're getting, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Hooper. I got this for the Gary Busey collection. Steel Sharks with him and Billy D. Williams. It feels like a TV movie. It's very low budget, but it worked. Like, it's entertaining for what it was, and they actually got a lot of actual input of the U.S. Navy for this film, so they got tons of this Navy footage and everything they were able to film and use, which adds a lot of credibility to something like this. And Gary Busey's playing Gary Busey. He's one of the Navy captains that, it's a running joke through this movie where he just goes on these bizarre tangents in the middle of stressful situations, and finds a way to relate it to this. Like, they'll be sitting there, and Gary will just turn to the guy and be like, "Hey, do you like Camaros?" And then he like, it's ridiculous, but I watched it with my dad, and we were both into the story. It's basically Navy SEALs 2, the TV movie version of it, but it's entertaining for what it was. You know, you could tell Billy D. Williams, Gary Busey, they probably filmed all their scenes in a day in mostly one location, but it's entertaining. Out Cold, crazy comedy that I remember seeing previews for way back when, and I've got a huge soft spot for these ski comedies, whether it's something like Ski Patrol always stands out, like all these kinds of things. Like, it's always a similar plot where someone's trying to take over the resort town and change everything, but I miss these early 2000s comedies that just had no agendas, no nothing. They were just fun for the sake of being fun. Back in the days where Lee Majors would be playing a character called John Majors, saying the word retard an unhealthy amount of times in it, but it's fun to watch. And even David Koechner, Zach Galifianakis, they're all a blast in this. That's a fun one. This is a film I bought blindly, not knowing anything about it, which helped my enjoyment. Airborne. Seth Green is in it. This is the most indulgent 90s. You took the 90s, specifically 1993, and just vomited the whole year up. That's this movie. Jack Black is in it too. This is so stupid and just 90s and just rad that there's a fashion montage. There's scenes in the trailer that got cut from the movie, including an Elvis impersonator. I'm not a BMX biker skateboarder guy, but this just made me laugh. And then it tries to be like a soap opera with some of the twists. I think I had too much fun watching this, but it was worth it. Same with this, Wrongfully Accused. I was laughing this entire time with Leslie Nielsen, who I love. Leslie Nielsen is genuinely one of my favorite comedians. Richard Crenna, Michael York, but like everything from the Fugitive Baywatch parody that's hilarious, to the scene with the train, which I think everyone can universally agree is the best part of the film. I won't say what happens, but let's just say it's a very sentient train, and this had me laughing from beginning to end. Even the last shot of the movie, when they do the Titanic twist, just made me laugh. God bless you, Leslie Nielsen. This is why I love you. I had a ball with this. I sincerely did. The hospital scene, everything. This is a weird like DVD like this, but for some reason the picture is like sideways on it. Blue Man Group meets the Kodo drummers, which is this weird kind of television special they did in Japan. I've been trying to find this DVD for years. It's always been so expensive and hard to get. Finally landed it, as well as a couple of years ago I got this other one Blue Man Group did for the same program. I've been a big fan of the Blue Man Group, seen them in Chicago here several times, seen them in Vegas once as well. This is them teaming up with the Asian Kodo drummers, and it's a great show. It's super fun, you know, percussion, music. It's so vibrant and cool. They're doing the paint drumming, the PVC drumming. Great special if you can find it. Blue Man Group meets Kodo. There might be footage of that on YouTube too. Goosebumps Scary House. I can never resist these Goosebumps DVDs. I remember renting this DVD a lot when I was a kid. This is the one that's got the kids kind of going into the haunted house as a dare. And then the second episode of this is kind of the weird one where it's like a big board game in the house that the little girl is luring people into. It's so hokey. Goosebumps is actually on Netflix now, I believe. I saw a bunch of it on there. You know what you get. You have to have the nostalgia factor for it, or else it's not going to do much for you. But I'm all in. Like I've got a Goosebumps pillowcase on this pillow here. So you know what? What else can you say? Goosebumps. And last but not least, the complete 6th season of South Park, which has the great episodes on here. You got Aspen Extreme, which I love because it's a parody of my #1 all-time favorite film, Better Off Dead. A lot of Butters heavy episodes, because this was during the period of time where Kenny was killed off for good, including the Stairway to Heaven episode. But this features my #1 like favorite show within a show ever. This has the episode with the Russell Crowe fighting around the world show, where Chef's TV turns into a Terminator. That's one of the most random, silly, nonsensical episodes of any show ever, and I love it. It's one of my favorite all-time episodes of the show. So, always collecting more South Park. I never liked the earlier years. Like season 5, 6 is when I start genuinely liking the show. Anything before that is kind of but yeah. So we got that. Alright guys, thank you for watching my August 19th, 2021 DVD Blu-ray movie collection update. See you for the next one, probably towards the end of October. Busy stuff coming up. You expect a lot of videos from me in the future. A lot is happening, so see you guys soon. Thank you for watching, and take care.